You're 45 years old, you've worked hard, saved diligently, and suddenly you find yourself looking at a roadmap that could lead you straight into a sunny retirement in Florida, earlier than you ever dreamed possible. But how do you know if your savings are enough? How do you ensure that your golden years are truly golden? Today, we'll dive into the financial journey of Jerry and Beth Smith, a couple who are navigating these very questions. We'll uncover the strategies they're using to not only dream about retirement, but to make it into a reality. Whether you're aiming for beach sunsets or serene mountain views, the steps we discussed today could help you see your own retirement in a new light. So let's explore how Jerry and Beth are planning their retirement so you can gain valuable insights to help you chart your own path. We're looking here at the blueprint of Jerry and Beth Smith. Jerry is 45, Beth is 42. They jointly have investment accounts and cash savings of about $1.5 million. Their primary home is almost paid off. They have a mortgage of $306,000. They have life insurances on their respective lives, and they have saved up $180 into their children's 529 accounts. Jerry and Beth want to retire at the same time. Jerry's going to be 70, Beth is 67. That's the default age, I would say, for this plan's retirement. We'll explore later what it means to retire a little bit earlier. They want to retire with an expense, be able to spend $15,000 per month. And this excludes, their housing costs. And this $15,000 is in today's dollars, right? So it'll be projected forward later on. We estimated their annual retirement health costs. We'll take into consideration some of their last 2 years of long-term care costs. They also want to have a cash reserve of $120,000. Right now, it's a little bit higher than that, so they can invest the remaining portion, or they can save it up to pay for what remains unfunded in their 529s for their kids' college goals. So Summer already got into a private nonprofit 4-year college. And her cost is going to be $57,000 per year. Morty has expressed interest in going to a public out-of-state university, so the cost we estimate is about $45,000. They also want to take an epic vacation every 2 years once they retire for the first 12 years. So that's 6 trips, $15,000 we estimate in today's dollars of that trip. They also want to retire in Florida, buying a condo. They love to play golf, as we said. And so we're estimating that the cost of this condo is $1.8 million, and that's in today's dollars. And in order to fund that, they plan to sell their existing home a year before they retire and buy the condo at that time with the money there. They also want to give a gift to both Summer and Morty for a down payment for whenever they want to buy a house. We estimate that Summer might buy a house at in 2040. And we also estimate Morty will buy in 2043. So those are the goals, essentially. In terms of income, Jerry's salary is $185, Beth's salary is at $205. They're like mid-level tech employees. They work at tech firms. They're managers. Jerry's Social Security, we estimate in today's benefit, when they fully retire, it'll be $3,000. Now, if he's planning to retire at 70 years old. So that this amount will be probably higher than we estimate. And same with the monthly benefit for Beth. Beth actually will retire at 67, so she'll get the full amount stated there. Obviously, these will inflate with inflation over time. In terms of savings, Jerry is contributing the max to his 401k, so is Beth. They're both doing the backdoor Roth IRA, so they're contributing $5,000 to Summer's 529 and Jerry's 529, but that stops at age 20 for each one of them. And in terms of expenses, right now, apart from housing, they're spending about $8,500 a month. So if you look now already at the retirement, what that looks like, the current plan looks at current and proposed plan. We haven't changed any proposal, anything there, so that it's equal to 71%. What this means is that there's a probability where that their retirement will be successful in 71% of the cases. Obviously, this depends on the market, essentially. And so there's a huge variance there. Let's look at the cash flows for 1 second here. We estimate that they're mostly in positive cash flows. They have a couple of years where there will be negative cash flows. This is specifically related to the payment of the universities. So it's essentially, Summers College, there's enough money in their 529s to pay for almost the first 2 years. Then the rest will have to come out of their incomes. So that's why you have 2 negative years of cash flow. It doesn't matter really. They have enough assets saved up. If you look at the accounts here, the taxable accounts, in the years that Summer will go to college, you won't see a drastic increase. In fact, like it will be more muted increase. One important consideration is really, can they retire early? Can they retire 3 years early? So 67 and 64. And the fact of the matter is that if I just change those variables here and refresh, you could see that the probability will go down to 59%, which is kind of, it's quite significant here. So there are some issues here about like how that probability works with reducing the amount of years worked. In order to compensate for that, we would have to decrease about to 12,000 their retirement expense, going from 15,000 to 12,000. So if these are kind of the levers that one has in order to evaluate whether or not they should retire early, if they can support a lower cost of living, then that would be viable. The other thing that's important to know is that the withdrawal rate upon retirement. This withdrawal rate of 9.3% is related to the purchase of the house. So I wouldn't look at that specifically. So the following years, you have a kind of a withdrawal rate that's under 4%, or ranging up to 4% by the end of the plan. But the overall withdrawal rate is pretty low and is supportive of this lifestyle that they're choosing after retirement. Again, we can look at education again here. If we only plan to fund the 529 with whatever's in the 529, and that means that there's a shortfall, they're basically paying for a little bit over half of it. How does that affect retirement? It should affect retirement specifically because what you're doing here is you're not using education strategy. We shift to the education proposal, and this increases by a small percentage. But again, these goals are an expression of the values of each one's life. So I would say for Jerry and Beth, it's very important to pay for their education to get them passed through the college expense debt free, and so they have chosen to pay that from their taxable accounts. Overall, like when we look at these plans, what we see in essence is this probability of success. Since it's above the median, right? The average here is above 0. That means that it's likely going to succeed. We're just subject to the whims of the market, right? So when we look at the market, we look at the investment strategy here. Is it conservative? Is it aggressive? And the current allocation is 83% in equity, 17% in fixed income. That's pretty much a good mix for someone who's in their age range. If we want to make it more conservative, how would that affect the plan? And so if we choose a moderate asset allocation, we'll see that the plan actually decreases in the probability of success, right? Because we have more stability in earnings, but at the end of the day, we're not getting that extra return. So if we actually go into the most aggressive, which is essentially an 80-20%, then we return to the 70-71%. The current allocation is slightly above that. The problem is that if you go too aggressive, you inherit a lot of volatility. And so the plan itself, the median might be higher, but the bands of uncertainty increase. And so it becomes very hard to plan for that because you're subjecting your portfolio to a large drawdown that could impair right when you're retiring. So all in all, when we look at this, at these Jerry Smith and Beth Smith, who are obviously fake names of real people, is that their probability of success is pretty in my opinion, it's decent. It's decently high, but I would like to see a little bit higher probability. I like, to be in the above 75%. Between the 75 and 85% is where I feel comfortable. What would I recommend here? There's a couple of recommendations. One is expenses after retirement maybe should go down a little bit. I would still consider, if possible, to retire at 70 and 67. This would help with the probability of success and spending a little bit less. I just want to talk about something that's specific to everybody who's considering retiring late. Not everybody can. Like, this is, you have an increasing amount of potential roadblocks that will inhibit your ability to retire at age 70. If you have to care for an elderly parent, if you're fired from your job, if you're having a hard time to finding employment, all these things could conspire against you retiring at age 70. And it becomes increasingly difficult, I would say, statistically, to be employed post 70. So it's important to remain conscientious about this. It's important to understand the factors that allow you to work until 70. Some professions are very much in tune to do that. But if you're, like, say, a product manager in tech, how many of those are, 70 years old? That's a problem, right? So it would require you to really focus on a different career. It would require you to reskill. And so then you would have to evaluate if that would impair your ability to earn income in the golden years of that you need your income. The last thing to point out here is, from a taxpayer's perspective, there is an element of a plan that you can do, which is it's converting some of your IRA or pre-tax into post-tax, and using those conversions later when you recently retired in order to drive an economic benefit. So essentially, what I mean by this is, if you think that you will be in a lower tax bracket right after retirement because you're using some of the taxable brokerage, you're using very little of the tax deferred, and you're leaving obviously the tax free for later in life. What that means is that you could end up in a lower tax bracket just because the capital gains are lower than the earned income. In that case, you might want to consider, obviously, converting some of the IRA into a Roth IRA. And that conversion could drive an additional benefit. In essence, in here, we see that there's a little bit of an area where those conversions could make sense. If you're aiming to fill up the tax bracket of 22-25%, then this conversion could make sense in these years. Now, the conversions have specific rules, and I just want you to be aware of those. One of them is the amount that you converted cannot be used within 5 years, right? They have to remain in the Roth IRA for 5 years before you can take it out. This is an interesting case where the primary goals of Beth and Jerry, coupled with their retirement plan, makes sense. We're very happy to see that most of their desires have been met. The only thing I would consider is looking at the flexibility of the retirement expense after they retire, obviously. As we wrap up our journey with Jerry and Beth today, remember that retirement planning isn't just about the numbers. It's about realizing your dreams for the future and ensuring that you have the means to enjoy every moment of it. Whether you're planning to bask in the Florida sun like the Smiths or have other plans, starting early and planning thoughtfully can make all the difference. If today's discussion sparked any questions or got you thinking about your own retirement plan, don't hesitate to drop a comment below. We love hearing from you and learning about your plans and perspectives. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss out on more helpful insights that could light the way to your financial goals. Thank you for watching, and remember, the best time to plan for tomorrow is today. See you in the next video. Thank you.